Welcome back to the Theater of the Mind, where today we are going to dismantle the stage and look at the machinery underneath. We are continuing our deep dive into Daniel Dennett's Consciousness Explained, specifically focusing on how we think and how we tell others about what we are thinking. This is Chapter 10, Sections 2 and 3. Let's start with a classic question that you have probably been asked before. Do you think in words, or do you think in pictures? The British economist John Maynard Keynes was once asked this, and he replied, "I think in thoughts." He was right to resist the binary choice because, as we have discussed before, mental images are not literal pictures, and verbal thinking is not just listening to a radio in your head. But saying "I think in thoughts" is a bit of a cop-out because it just postpones the question, what on earth is a thought? To understand the phenomenology of thinking, we need to look beyond just words and pictures. I want to introduce you to a character from Vladimir Nabokov's novel, The Defense. His name is Grandmaster Luzhin, and he is a chess genius who suffers a nervous breakdown. Luzhin's mind is a perfect case study in heterophenomenology. Before he discovers chess, he is a normal boy, but once he learns the game, his mind becomes saturated with it. He sees his whole life in terms of chess moves. When he is courting his future wife, he does not see a romantic moment. He sees a knight's move involving a lime tree and a telegraph pole. When she touches his eyelid, he sees a black knight taking a pawn. This is fascinating because these are not just visual images. Chess is a spatial game, yes, but its power over Luzhin is not about the visual shape of the pieces. It is about the abstract structure, the rules, the tactics, and the geometry of the game. He has internalized the structure of chess so deeply that it drives his mind from thought to thought. We all do this to some extent. Think about when you learned to drive a car. At first it was terrifying, but soon you internalized the structure of the road, the traffic laws, and the mechanics of the car. It became second nature. You built a control structure in your brain. Or think about bridge or poker or even Major League Baseball. When you learn a new system, you might have a period of obsessive exploration where you dream about it. I remember having bridge dreams where I would bid 4 clubs in my sleep. These abstract structures lay down the tracks on which our thoughts travel. But of all the structures we learn, the most powerful one is our native language. Language is not just a tool for communication, it is a tool for thinking. Justin Leiber called natural language our most important programming language. It infects and inflects our thought at every level. The words in our vocabularies are catalysts that precipitate specific contents in our brains. The grammar we use enforces a discipline on how we organize facts. Try this experiment. I am going to say a sentence to you. You are magnificent. Now try this one. You are pathetic. You know, I am just a disembodied voice, and I do not know you. You know, these are not sincere speech acts. But if you say them to yourself over and over with emphasis, something happens. You might blush, or feel angry, or feel a boost of confidence. You do not have to believe the sentence for it to trigger a reaction. This proves that language can pull the strings of your mind even without your permission. It is like a virtual machine running on the hardware of your brain. Now, some philosophers, like Jerry Fodor, believe in a language of thought, a deep internal code that is different from English or French. But we can view our natural language as a high-level programming language, like Pascal or Lisp, that structures our thinking. It makes some things easy to say and other things hard to say. Now let's shift gears to Section 3, where Dennett attacks the Cartesian theater from the inside. We usually assume that when we speak, we are reporting on our inner life. We imagine an inner self inspecting our conscious experience, selecting the right words, and then handing them to the mouth to speak. We think we express our beliefs. But let's look closer. Suppose you see a cat standing anxiously by the refrigerator. You say, "The cat wants his supper." In this moment, you are reporting a fact about the cat, but you are also expressing your belief that the cat wants supper. Here is the distinction. The cat is expressing its desire by standing there. You are reporting it. Expressing a mental state is just doing something that provides evidence for it. Reporting is a sophisticated, intentional act using language. Now, what happens when you talk about yourself? If I say I want to be fed, I am reporting my desire. But according to the standard model, I am expressing a second-order belief, a belief about my desire. If I say I believe that I want to be fed, I am expressing a third-order belief, a belief about a desire. This can go on forever. The philosopher David Rosenthal has analyzed this, and he argues that this hierarchy of thoughts is actually the key to consciousness. He distinguishes between beliefs which are long-term states and thoughts which are transient episodes. Rosenthal argues that a conscious state is simply a mental state that is accompanied by a higher order thought about it. This sounds complex, but it solves a lot of problems. It means that to be conscious of a pain, you must have the thought "I am in pain." But here is the twist. The higher order thought itself does not have to be conscious. In fact, it usually isn't. You can express a thought without being conscious of it, just like the cat expresses desire without speaking. Suppose you knock over a cup of coffee. You jump up instantly to avoid the spill. You did not consciously think the liquid obeys gravity and will ruin my pants. But that thought must have existed in your brain unconsciously, or you wouldn't have moved. If the cup had contained sand, you wouldn't have jumped. So your brain processed the physics of the situation. This was an unconscious thought. Rosenthal says that what makes a state conscious is just that there is a higher order thought targeting it. If that higher order thought is also targeted by a third order thought, then you become introspectively aware of thinking. This allows us to explain consciousness without magic. It is not a special glowing light in the brain. It is a structural relationship between thoughts about thoughts. We do not need a Cartesian theater where the show happens. We just need a system capable of higher order representation, a system that can track its own internal states. Folk psychology, with its talk of beliefs and desires, actually gives us the tools to build a scientific theory of mind. If we stop taking the metaphors literally, we do not look inside and describe what we see. We find ourselves speaking, and the speaking is the expression of the thought, not the report of an internal viewing. The words just come to us. We are not the authors of our words in the way we think we are. We are the machines that the words run on. So the next time you talk to yourself, remember you are running a program written in English or whatever your native tongue is. And that program is shaping your reality just as much as the photons hitting your eyes. Thank you for listening to this deep dive into the architecture of thought. Keep thinking, and I will see you in the next video.